Hey, my name is Kat,
And I'm Lee.
and welcome to the
Wildly Wealthy Life podcast. In this show, we explore the journey of what it means to live a truly exceptional and fulfilling life.
Each episode focuses on how a foundation of brilliant minds and brave hearts, nurtured through the arts, leads to lifelong success.
Get inspired with actionable tips to foster a growth mindset, leadership values, and creativity in children and adults, turning their potential into lasting contributions for their communities.
We hope that you embrace the challenge to shift your perspective as we equip you and the next generation for a
Wildly Wealthy Life.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Wildly Wealthy Life. Today, I want to take it back a little bit because we talk a lot about self-worth, confidence, resilience, persistence, and all of these things. And a lot of that really has to do with mindset, what we believe about ourselves. Our perspective about the world around us and who we are has a lot to do with our own mindset. And if we believe that our mistakes and our failures are set in stone, they're fixed, and if we make them, they fully dictate our identity. Or if we believe that they are simply stepping stones to what's next in our life, what could make us grow from that, right? From that mistake. And I also want to bring this back to childhood because I believe that a lot of the things that we struggle with as adults really are rooted in our childhood and the way we grew up. And a child can be so talented, so gifted, can even receive a lot of support. But if they don't have a growth mindset, they are also going to crumble at some point, right? No matter how confident we are, if we don't have that solid foundation of understanding how our minds work, we could also crumble. It's basically like a house that's built on a foundation that isn't strong. It could look beautiful on the outside, but when the storms come, the house could crumble to pieces. And so, what I love about the work that I get to do with kids is I really get to walk them through how our minds work and how our minds have a conscious thought and a subconscious thought, right? Our minds have autopilot thoughts, and sometimes we don't even realize that they're just all of a sudden leading how we're thinking, leading how we're making decisions, because our brains build all of these neural pathways. And so, if that pathway is kind of like easy, our brains will go into that direction right away, right? When President Roosevelt passed away in his sleep, they found a book under his pillow, proof that even in his final moments, he never stopped learning. That's what true leaders do. Leaders are readers. If you want to grow your mindset, sharpen your skills, and become a better leader, reading is essential. I've compiled my top book recommendations, books I've personally read and applied in both business and life. These books have transformed the way I think, lead, and live. So, are you ready to grow? Check out my book list at wildlywealthylifepodcast.com/mytools and grow 1% better every day. Mindset training is so important for us adults, but most especially for kids, because everything really starts in our childhood. And the sooner that kids learn this, the stronger, more resilient, more confident, more believing in themselves and understanding of their self-worth they will be. And so I am just so excited that I get to do this with the kids that I work with. And again, this doesn't have to be an episode just for parents. You don't have to be a parent to be able to do this kind of work with the kids around you, whether you're an aunt or an uncle or a godparent, right? There are kids in our lives, in your life, that you can impact every single day. A simple encouragement, all these things, but hopefully what I'll share today can also help you, maybe have some tools to be able to do that with the kids in your life. So I got certified as an Adventures in Wisdom life coach for kids. And what I love about this program and this curriculum, which is what I'm using for my music and mindset program called Piano and Power, is that I get to really share these they're like basic building blocks of how our minds work, the science behind how our brains work, but in a story form. And because it's in a story form, it's a lot more understandable. The kids relate to it. They love the characters. So there's this one character who's kind of like the through line character with all of the stories. There's so many stories because there's so many life skills that we're teaching, but it all starts with mindset. And his name is Wyatt the Wise Wizard. And kids start to just love this amazing, wonderful Wyatt, who is so heartwarming, so caring. Everything that he teaches in the story form is always it's always led with love and with care for the kids. And so these stories are so beautiful. It starts with the first one is all about how your mind shapes your world and how you can shape your mind. And it goes with the story about who's flying your airplane. So the plane is kind of like the metaphor for our mind, right? So who's actually in control of your mind? Is it your autopilot thoughts that are in control of your mind every day? Or is it your making a decision to believe things and to believe thoughts that serve your life every day so that you can carry out actions in your life that serve you instead of, be a disservice to you? And then it goes into the story of how you achieve what you believe, which is the power of possibility. And that line in and of itself really just kind of explains it, right? If you believe that you're a loser, you're going to live out the loser life. If you believe that you're a winner, you're going to live out the winner life. And I'm not talking about trophies and medals and grades. I'm talking about winning is when you know who you are and you believe that your heart and your character and who you are as a person is worthy of a good life, right? Worthy of living the best possible life that we can live on this earth. And so it goes into the story of that, and it just really helps paint this picture to kids that, again, it boils down to your mindset, because everything comes from what we think about ourselves and what we think about the world around us. And so these are just some of the stories that we get to share with the kids. There's so many of them because we're teaching way more life skills than just the mindset. But again, everything starts with mindset. And what I love about these stories is they're not only relatable and understandable, but they're really meant to be training tools, a guideline for kids to be able to apply what they've learned into their real everyday life in school. And we get to walk them through it. And so, my challenge for you today, as someone listening to this podcast, if you made it to the end, is how do you make this world a better place? And I know that sounds cheesy, and I'm not talking about the world at large. Yes, the world at large, but also the world is so big and it's so broken and it needs a ton of help. And if you think about all the things that we need to do to kind of make this world a better place, we will get overwhelmed. So I'm talking about your own place of influence, your sphere of influence, your circle, your relationships around you. How do you make it better? And even more specifically, how can you guide the kids in your life to start understanding how their minds work so that they can have a better foundation, a foundation that a lot of us did not have growing up? Because this whole thing about personal development and mental health and emotional health awareness is still so new. It is still so new. It's now just kind of, blowing up. But back in our time, we don't talk about these things. We're taught to hide our feelings. We're taught to, put things under the rug and just live with it, right? And yeah, how can you do that? How can you actually be a light to the kids around you and help them understand how their minds work? So, yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed today, and I will see you in the next episode. All right, friends, that's a wrap on today's episode of Wildly Wealthy Life. We hope you're feeling fired up and ready to take on the world with your brilliant mind and brave heart.
If you love this episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. It helps us keep bringing you the good stuff.
And hey, while you're at it, drop us a rating or review. It takes 30 seconds, and it makes a huge difference for us.
Also, if you know someone who could use a little guidance on growth mindset, leadership, and creativity, share this episode with them. Sometimes that one conversation can spark up a whole new direction.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. Go out there, live wildly, be wealthy in all the ways that matter to you, and we'll catch you on the next one.